Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast for the match preview of the last group game, PSV versus Arsenal, match day 6. James Rowe will be joining me. He's just joining me back, so I'm going to bring him in a second. But yeah, we're doing a match instead of going back on Saturday, sorry, and reliving all that malarkey. We're just going to focus on tomorrow's game and then kick on from there. And without any further ado, we're going to bring in James. How you doing, James?
Very well, thank you. The mail ended up in my spam. I have no idea why. It doesn't normally. So something to keep an eye on. But great to catch up after what's been a while. And look forward to previewing PSV and one eye on the draw as well next week. And exciting times.
Yeah, group winners as well. So again, as I say, we are playing PSV tomorrow in Eindhoven. A year on for playing them in the Europa League when it was a shootout pretty much for at the time top spot, wasn't it?
Pretty much. But we also underestimated them last year.
Yeah.
And they did really well. I was at that game, and it was really strange to be speaking to the stewards in their mother tongue in the away end because they didn't expect it. So they treated me really well, the PSV stewards that night. So I can't speak highly enough of them. And because the last thing they expected at the away end in Eindhoven was to hear someone speaking their mother tongue. But every step of the way, I was telling them, "No, I'm James. I live in Amsterdam, but my team's playing here tonight, so I couldn't not come." And it's great, and a nice experience, even though we lost. But I won't be there tomorrow because it's always about giving your fellow fan an opportunity. And I've been so fortunate, Ryan, with games from Amsterdam through the years, and a third of which have been European games. So with the draw for the last 16, I'm going to be quite selective. Everything I've done before, I will not be doing again. But should we draw a Real Sociedad or a Leipzig and then or Galatasaray, then wild horses wouldn't keep me away. But it's a win-win situation. If we draw one that I fancy, I'm going to try my very best. If we don't, then it's an opportunity to give your fellow fan that European night, which I've been so lucky to have on, I think, 33 occasions in my life as an Arsenal fan. So very grateful. So just pleased we topped the group as well. And also the dynamic of the last 16, Ryan. The last 16, there's no away goals, which we've succumbed to against Bayern Munich and Monaco in the past. Second leg's at home, which will also be new for us. I think the last time we had that was, 2012, when we just lost out to AC Milan.
Yeah.
And I was at that game as well. And I think it'll be really interesting, but we've got to take every opponent seriously, and you can't, I remember being at a couple of games this season and, people saying, "Oh, who can we play in the Champions League?" It doesn't matter who you get, it's going to be a tough game. And I was speaking to Alex on Cannon Fodder earlier, where I said, it pains me to say it as an Arsenal fan, but given Arsenal's European record in general, do you really think that any of the potential opponents that are going to face Arsenal in the draw next Monday, do you think they're going to be scared? No, I don't think they're going to be scared.
Not of our European record, no.
No.
If we've been brutally honest, in terms of our European record.
They've got nothing to be scared of. And that's our own fault due to attitude. I mean, I remember being outside the turnstile at the Monaco game and having someone behind me saying, "Oh, we'll beat this mob 4-0 tonight." And I turned around and said to him, I said, "You are aware that they've
they're walking the league on at the time."
Yeah, they topped a group with Bayer Leverkusen, Zenit St. Petersburg and Benfica. I said, obviously a good side. They had the likes of Carrasco, Berbatov, Subasic, Abdenor. We were awful that night, but they remain one of the best European teams I've seen at the Emirates. I mean, without doubt, Bayern is the greatest European team I've seen at the Emirates. There's no doubt about that. But
yeah, you mentioned it last time, yeah.
Yeah, in 2013, they just overpowered us. Mandzukic and Müller and Neuer and Van Buiten and
Ian Robin and
Ian
Robin and Ribery.
He came on. He was on the bench. He didn't even make the starting lineup. That's how strong they were. and we lost 3-1, and then eventually went out on away goals. But just fantastic memories, win, lose or draw. Because I love my European football and delighted to have achieved so much. But this season as well at Lens, a massive favour was done to me by a very good friend, so I'm extremely grateful. But we've spoken about the attitude in Europe, Ryan. Before kickoff, a guy a couple of seats down said to me, "Oh, United have drew," and I said, "Yeah, but they've won it 3 times." Do you know what the response was? That was years ago. I said, "That's not the point.
It's still in history. It's still part of the history."
Yeah, it's not the point. They've won it 3 times. We've had 25 bites of a cherry, and this is our last chance. Because I really don't think that people understand how the dynamics will change next season. It will go to a league format. It will be a super league in everything but name. There will be group match days from September through to January. So if you think managers are moaning now, what are you going to do next January if you're in the FA Cup 4th round and the League Cup semi-final and the midweek game which traditionally is played in January in England? What are you going to do then? And also as well, it's 4 groups of 9. So you're drawn against 8 other teams where you have 4 games at home or 4 games away, which range from September through to January. Now, in the past, we've been fortunate in European games to be able to pick our games due to commitments or what you fancy or what you like. And we met up at a fair few European games, which has been fantastic. Next season, you might get Leipzig and you think, I've always wanted to go to Leipzig. Well, you can't because you're playing them at home. Oh, I've always wanted to go to the Bernabeu. Well, you can't because you're playing them at home. So you haven't got the choice of being able to do what you used to do, which is why Lens was so poetic for me, which is, I've seen a lot of French teams against Arsenal in the Champions League. I remember going to Auxerre in October 2002 when we lost 2-1. And the European games against Montpellier, Monaco, Rennes in the Europa League as well. So it was quite poetic to finish with a French team, and they've got some good players. Lens, they were unbeaten in 8, but we did really, really well. But it's going to be a massive last 16 game, whoever we play, and I just hope we can see it through to the end. I don't want to hear all this. Oh, we'll get knocked out by Liverpool in the FA Cup and we'll win one of the 2 big ones. Well, that's massive pressure for a manager that's never won anything before, with his own players at Arsenal.
With his own team, yeah.
With his own, and I maintain, Ryan, in any industry, who starts at the top? You don't start at the top. You start at the bottom and you work your way up to the top. And in Arteta's case, he starts his managerial career, Ryan, at the 3rd biggest club in the whole of English football. So where do you think you're going to go after that? There's 2 clubs bigger than us in Manchester United and Liverpool in terms of rich history and what they've won. And so where do you think you're going to go after that? The Arsenal job should be a coveted job. It should be a job that everybody wants. We're not a charity, but we seem to be more preoccupied with new kit launches and new training launches, and it's as if they're trying to fleece fans dry. I mean, I've been on this channel many times speaking about European football. I haven't brought any shirt for the last 15 seasons. All it takes is a little bit of willpower, but I will always, because it's something very important to me, any football game I go to, specifically Arsenal, I will always get a programme. Because it's a memory where at different stages in your life when you might not go to football anymore, you can look back and read about a game and all your memories come flooding back. My programme collection is the centrepiece of my front room. I had a mate of mine drop by for a cup of tea a couple of weeks back. And he walked in, because they're all in binders properly, all in chronological order. And he said to me, "James, that must be worth thousands." I said, "Yeah, but it's the sentimental value." I said, it's my mother letting me go to Villa Park as an 18-year-old. It's my mother letting me go to Ajax away as a 19-year-old. I don't know many mothers that would do that. And obviously that game subsequently changed my life, because I was going to move abroad before then, but I didn't know where I was going to go, and I ended up moving here and just recently gone over the 17.5-year threshold. But I got out a programme to show him, just a general one, and it was Arsenal Middlesbrough in December 2001. And, we won 2-0. McLaren was their manager. I think the likes of Macaroni and Chris Riggott and Mark Schwarzer played for them. And my ticket from Highbury was inside, and all your memories come flooding back. But in a digital age where, you scan your QR code and vanishes into thin air, I've got all my Highbury tickets in my programs, and it's like they've never been touched. But I always say it's like my life's work. I mean, I used to do, before I emigrated, I used to work overtime at WH Smith in the distribution centre. I would forego the domestic game on a Saturday afternoon because I was working, so long as I could get to the European game. Schalke at home when we won 3-2, and Dynamo Kiev at Wembley, and Shakhtar Donetsk when nobody had ever heard of them. We were 2-0 down, and Keown scored twice, and we won 3-2. And then my last European game at Highbury before I moved was Celta Vigo in March 2004, because I knew I was coming here. So that next season, I was busy with the preparation to emigrate. So, my last game at Highbury was a European game. That was always the pedestal for me, European football. And to think the last time I saw Arsenal win a European trophy was I was 10 years old. I'm now 40. So it just goes to show, and it's high time. And wouldn't it be typical Arsenal to win it right at the last knock-ins at Wembley? Because
at Wembley,
yeah. But I will say one thing, Ryan. This competition's been around since '56.
Yeah.
Right? There's only been 23 winners, and we're not one of them. But we've had so many bites of the cherries. Like, to be so disingenuous to the double winners and say, "Oh, our first Champions League game was Lens." No, it wasn't. Our maiden Champions League voyage was Strømsgodset in 1971. We beat Strømsgodset, beat Grasshopper Zurich, and then lost to the famous Ajax side, who went on to win the second of their 3 in a row. No shame in that. But to not even acknowledge the maiden voyage of a Champions League, what would the club have done the same thing if we'd have won it? I don't think so, Samad, do you?
No. And then, as you say, we've had so many bites at the cherry anyway.
Yeah.
We've spoken about it before, not just 2006 itself, obviously against the final in Paris, and obviously going into that final itself, it was more of it was set up by the media, very poetic, because obviously you've got some Wenger from France, obviously Henry's, Pires. But the majority of our squad was from France, and it was in Paris. It was built up. It's destined to happen there. Break that duck, and obviously we all know what happened there. I referred to a few years prior to that when 2004. We should have won it in 2000. That team would have won it in 2004.
Yeah.
But Chelsea, if we knocked out Chelsea the way we should have done at Highbury, Monaco, I honestly think our team would have dismantled Monaco in the first leg, and just because of the strength of our team compared to them at the time. And then Porto. Yeah. Porto in the final. That's all set. It was sort of set up for us to get to there and do it there and then. Yeah. And then a couple of years prior to that, we had Valencia for 2 years, 2 or 3 years in the bounce. We had Valencia in the last. Yeah, in the second round of the quarterfinals. Yeah.
I mean, you had two group stages that season, and of the 12 games that Arsenal played, I went to 7 of them. I went to all 6 home games, and the game here in Amsterdam. And the second group phase, we didn't win a single home game. We drew 0-0 with Valencia, went 1-0 up against Ajax and drew, went 1-0 up against Roma and drew, and Totti got sent off for elbowing Martin Keown. And I maintain that our attitude in Europe has never really been spot on, is it? I mean, Real Madrid have won it 14 times. Bayern Munich have won it 6 times. Milan have won it 7 times, because they don't treat it as a public relations finance exercise. They treat it as an opportunity to win the thing. And, I'd like to think that we're going to go close. I think we will.
We've got the squad.
Before
we ever got injuries, we've got the squad.
Yeah, but that's why tomorrow is so important, Ryan, because obviously you're not going to rest players, but it's a collective. And if you look at the potential opponents of the last 16, Napoli, Galatasaray, potentially Real Sociedad, who I don't want to play. I really don't. And there is tough places to go. So if you can get that little bit of experience by making sure that you've got the game in Eindhoven under your belt, and our record in Europe away has not been great. Drawing in Lisbon and losing in Eindhoven and drawing in Lons, and so if we can get something from tomorrow, then it will give us a bit of confidence going into the last 16. But one thing I will say as well is that I'm sure there's lots of Arsenal fans that are ready to go cock a hoop next Monday if we end up with a Copenhagen, or we end up with a Shakhtar Donetsk, or we end up with a Porto. But what they've got to realise is that the draws made in December, the games are not played until February and March. So that people will automatically, next Monday, they'll go, Real Sociedad are 5th, Napoli are almost mid-table. Yes, at the minute they are. But by the time we come to play them, they might have a managerial change, they might have brought new players, they might have improved. And also you can't pick and choose who you play. As I say, I was there when we got knocked out by Monaco. I was there when we got knocked out by Bayern Munich and AC Milan, and losing to Östersunds in the Europa League. I remember calling for Arsene Wenger's head at half time. And I spoke to Graham Potter a few weeks later after that game, and he said that we knew that Arsenal would be really down due to the Derby defeat, and we just couldn't get that second goal because they had the belief that if they had have got that second goal, it would have changed. It would have changed things. And also the games against Atletico Madrid where they go down to 10 men. And we only score one goal, and that mistake from Koscielny as well. And Griezmann is just, I've wanted him at Arsenal since his days at Real Sociedad. But he's now turning, he's now like a hybrid, and it's how on earth the man's not up for the Ballon d'Or? I don't know. I couldn't care less if Messi scores 1,000 goals. Doesn't mean anything to me.
Ballon d'Or, I've said it for years, Ballon d'Or's a popularity contest.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't be that way, but it is. The fact that was it 2003 or 2002, Henri comes second to Pablo Nedved.
Yeah.
Who
ended up getting injured for the final against Milan. He was injured for that game. I still think Milan would have won because they were the best team in Europe that season. I backed them to win it at 7-1. This was the quarters. I remember going into a bookies and putting £8 at 7-1 on them to win it. And then when I'm watching the TV, I turned to my mum. I said, I've just won 56 quid. She said, how'd you work that out? I said, well, I backed them with £8 for them to win it at 7-1 when it was in the quarters. And just goes to show, but Griezmann is definitely one of my favourite footballers. I think he's brilliant. And I don't know if you saw his pass for the goal in the Euro qualifiers in Amsterdam. But it looks so simple, but he's just an amazing footballer. And I remember speaking to a player who played with him, and he said Denis Selanovic. He played with him at Atletico Madrid when he first arrived at the club, and he said, James, you're training hard in the heat. You're training really hard. He said, but you're also pissing your pants laughing because he's keeping everyone going. He's making funny jokes. He's doing wisecracks. He's making fun of people, and people are lapping it up. And he's a great character to have in a dressing room. You would want him as your teammate, not just for his footballing ability, but
what he does off the pitch.
He's one of my favourites. I'm delighted to have seen him play live on many occasions. But Mark Albrighton's also one of my favourites. I still think it's an absolute disgrace how the man's never been capped by England. I think it's an absolute disgrace.
Getting
And
popularity contest there. Let's not go to that one.
Here is a winger who was as important to Leicester in their championship winning season as Riyad Mahrez and Jamie Vardy. Now, I've got a lot of respect for Hodgson, especially with what he's done outside of England, but I could not believe Euro 2016 and you don't take Vardy, Danny Simpson and Albrighton to the Euros. They've just won the league. They've just won the league with Leicester and they're on a massive all-time high. Are you telling me they can't do it in Europe? You're telling me you can't? But then it came to light with Vardy and Rooney and the arguments between their wives. Well, I'm sorry, this is football. Hodgson, as I say, I rate Hodgson, but he should have said to both players, you got a week to sort out your differences. If you don't sort it out, I ain't picking either of you. That's that. I mean, it sounds so simple, didn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds so. That's what I would have done. I mean, I would play Vardy even now. People go, oh yeah, he's a championship player, but he still knows where the goal is. I mean, how can you have a World Cup semi-final against Croatia and Jamie Vardy on the bench? How can you have a Euro 2020 final with him nowhere near the squad? Because I'll go on record again and say if he was playing in one of them, we would have won a major tournament.
Yeah.
And also with Arsenal, Leicester accepted Arsenal's bid, Brian. But I maintain Arsenal didn't work hard enough to get that deal over the line. And from what I heard was, Wenger said to Jamie Vardy, I can't guarantee you a place in the starting lineup. You must be
just won the league.
He's just top scorer of England. What he should have said to Jamie Vardy was, Jamie, as you know, we've got a huge problem in Europe. You're here to help us win more silverware, and we want you as our vocal point in Europe. And Vardy rightly said about the brotherhood of Leicester, and fair play to his loyalty and that kind of thing. And I maintain that Arsenal didn't work hard enough. And then you had the sports writers the following season when he wasn't on great form, saying, "Oh yeah, what would have happened if he would have signed for Arsenal?" Well, we wouldn't have been toothless up front. I mean, and again, he's a great character. To think he didn't play his first Premier League game until he was 27. Most 27-year-olds now are on the scrap heap because it's all statistic based, and it's completely wrong. You've got. I mean, I was saying on Cannon Fodder earlier as well. It's as if fans are being conditioned now, Ryan. It's as if they're being conditioned to think the same way. Well, I'm sorry, I've got a different opinion because I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I don't need to be told by an influencer how good a player is. And I'm not being funny. With certain YouTubers or influencers, if I said the name Alfonso Pedraza, Ricardo Esgael, or Benjamin Boriccio, they would go, who are they? But they are three brilliant footballers that would improve any football team.
Yeah. I was going to say now. We've got a comment here says, come on, Vardy was good, but he wasn't well. We're not saying he's well. We're not going to say he's world class, but he was at the time England's best striker.
Yeah, well, you imagine him up front with Kane for England. Every defensive pairing would be bricking it. You imagine seeing a team sheet with Vardy and Kane up front. You would be bricking it, wouldn't you? Because you'd think, what we're going to do here? But again, we've got a manager who... Southgate can tell you everything about LGBT. He can tell you everything about Iran and all the causes, but he can't tell you why he doesn't pick Jamie Vardy, why he doesn't pick Lewis Dunk or Ben Chilwell. And it's like with Bellingham. Bellingham's doing a great job, Ryan. He really is. People forget he ain't won nothing yet, and he's no McManaman, is he? McManaman won 2 Champions League and 2 La Ligas in a team that was a damn sight harder to get into than the one that Bellingham is in now.
Yeah, Zidane, Figo. I mean, look back at that team. Zidane, Figo, the original Ronaldo.
Yeah, but Macca's attitude. I mean, his biography on his time at Madrid. Any football fan watching, if you got a spare bit of money in your pocket at Christmas, go and order it. It's called El Maca, and it's about his time in Madrid, and it's one of the best football books I've ever read. Because if you're talking about going abroad, and I went abroad as a worker, not as a professional footballer, but your attitude is everything. McManaman learnt Spanish to the best of his ability. When he wasn't playing, he accepted decisions by Vicente del Bosque. He didn't moan, kick, or throw his toys out the pram. And he's an absolute joy to watch. And I just think with Bellingham, people are getting a little bit too carried away, because I'm not being funny. If he doesn't win anything this year, the pressure will be on. So I think some people are getting carried away a little bit, I reckon.
I think it's more because of the obviously local lad in Birmingham City came from their academy, didn't even get he played like a handful of games for his senior team. Then to Dortmund, and then but when Dortmund took him on for a few years, he'd done what he could have done there, and he wanted to move on. He's gone from there to historically one of the biggest clubs in Europe, if not the world. So there's that hype there. But from what I've watched him, he plays for England. He's a fantastic player, but you obviously say Real Madrid is another level. He has to win stuff. He can't just go there, make it the numbers, and almost do a Beckham, basically, where Beckham went there for 5 years?
I think it was 4.
4 years. Sorry, 4 years he went there for, and he only ended up winning one La Liga title and the Super Cup at the start.
Yeah, and also as well, could have gone to Barcelona as well, and his Spanish as well. He was kind of like goading them at the end by speaking like basic Spanish, like a child. But if you're an adult and you've been there 4 years, even if you're not linguistically gifted, you would have a better level. But again, it comes down to attitude. Like in my case, I'm not a professional footballer, but I was at a workshop today, and I had a colleague of mine say to me, "James, I didn't know you were British." She said, "I thought you were Dutch." I said, and I joked with her. I said, "Well, my name's a bit of a giveaway." But it's always important to be honest. It's always important to be modest,
I mean, you say that, but then one of our greatest, Dennis.
Yeah, no. Well, it's a privilege for me to live in his country, in his hometown. And I interviewed his nephew Roland when he was playing for EKC Waalwijk, and I said to Roland, he also played for Brighton, and I said to him, I said, this interview is all about you, of course. I said, but I can't leave here today without asking you about your uncle, who's, in my opinion, the greatest footballer my team's ever had, and one of the best of his generation. Did he ever give you any advice? And he said to me, James, he said, to be honest, I didn't see him very much. He said, but I became a fan of Arsenal because of him. He said, you wouldn't see him for 80 minutes, and then he would give an assist or make a goal, and they would win the game. And it still pains me how in the most important game we ever played, the greatest player we've ever known didn't even get a cameo role. Didn't even get a cameo role.
He was on the bench as well, yeah.
And
he was there.
He takes off Pires and keeps Hleb on. I mean, Hleb was all right, but he's no Bobby Pires, is he?
No, Robert Pires had the longevity. Hleb has only just arrived. So there's an opportunity for Hleb to have that opportunity again some point down the line, maybe.
Exactly.
Perez, Dennis, they're coming to the end of their time.
Exactly. And they could have made on. They could have made the difference, and then Rijkaard puts on Larsen, and then he changes the game, and it remains our most painful defeat. Because I tell you now, Ryan, if we'd have won that game, the club would be in an entirely different stratosphere. We'd
have had that to our name.
But now it's as if now, like I was saying to Alex as well earlier, it's great that the women's game is making such progression. It's brilliant. I'm delighted, fantastic. But when you go onto the club website now, it's as if, especially after a defeat against Aston Villa, against our former manager, that they will put more emphasis on the women's result than the men's. But one team has been around since 1886, and another one's been around for maybe 35 years, maybe? maybe,
Because
So
late 80s it was, when
yeah,
they were allowed to
yeah,
play football.
well, also as well with the women's game, it's not just England. If you do a bit of research and you look at the Netherlands, and you look at Colombia, and you look at Uruguay, I'm not saying what I'm about to say is not my opinion. It's what was said at the time. At the time in the Netherlands, in Colombia, in Uruguay, they were worried about the effects of women playing football for two reasons. The first one was their ability to continue to reproduce, and secondly, derogatory effects to their respiratory system. So they were now in terms of the times socially, you would say at those times, no, those things are not that bad at that time. Obviously, in this day and age, that attitude is completely no longer relevant. But back in the day, that's how things were. And it's great that the game is making so much progression in that respect, but also with you can try to have too much too quickly. For example, with equal pay. In terms of equal pay, when Neymar was at PSG, Neymar had a clause in his contract that when he was playing outside of Paris, every single time he went to the away ends to applaud them in Lille or Marseille or Nantes or Lyon, he would receive 18,000 euros. 18,000 just for applauding the away fans. Now, I don't think, and I've interviewed Beth Mead, I know her from her time at Sunderland as well. I don't think when Beth Mead is applauding the home fans and the away fans that she's getting 18 grand a pop. Do you? No. And again, it's the commercialism as well. I mean, Arsenal releasing more kits than a dry clean.
Than league trophies.
Yeah, but it's also as well, they bang the drum for climate change. What do you think the kits are doing then? I mean, I would love Arsenal at the end of this season to say, right, this is our new home kit, red and white, for the next 3 seasons. This is our away kit, yellow and blue, for the next 3 seasons. In the event that we have a kit clash, we will work it out at that specific game. Easy, isn't it?
Like we used to do.
Yeah. And but it's as if now, like the European kit is green.
Green and blue,
We're not Plymouth or Real Betis. We're Arsenal. I mean, they talk about respect of the women's game. The women's kit is pink. So if purple. You want, I'm sure there's certain women out there that think, they mustn't show any respect when they're giving us a pink kit, naturally thinking that pink is the colour of a girl, of a woman, for example, when colour palettes also change.
Well, the thing for me that kit was as well, it was like it was branded as a Stella McCartney kit, but for me, the patterning is the same as the men's away kit, just different colours. Yeah, for me, the patterning, like the swiggly lines and all that. So
I mean, but £80 a pop.
That as well.
I mean, back in the day, an adult's kit was £40, and the badge was hand stitched.
Yeah,
the badge was hand stitched, and now they're like printed. But as I say, it all comes down to willpower. I will go to the ends of the earth to get a programme of every single game that I attend, especially with Arsenal. But I don't need to buy a new shirt. I don't need one. I mean, I've still got my 1971 replicas. I couldn't tell you the last time I wore it. I mean, obviously with the Lens game, you layers in the winter. That extra shirt under your that extra t-shirt under your jumper, that's wonders. And it's small little details like that. And but it'll be interesting to see what happens. But how the club's changing, really. It's just unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, that Lens game myself, I went with had a football shirt on, hoodie on, the coat, snood, gloves, hat, because it was cold.
Yeah, but and then I'm not being too old-fashioned, but you have a cup of tea when you get home.
Yeah,
I mean, I always do that. I was at Alkmaar on Saturday night here. I went to watch. I was at Alkmaar against Almere City, And when I got home, I had a cup of tea, warm up again. And I'm hopeful of another Champions League game in the last 16, but it really does depend on the opponent, Ryan. Because as I say, it's a win-win. You know, everything I've done before, especially with the logistics involved from Amsterdam, I won't be doing again. But if something new comes up, then I'll try my very best.
Yeah, in terms of Sam's comment there, the pink kit was last season, which both men and women wore. But the men only wore it, like, I think 2 or 3 times last season, which caused a bit of angst because obviously, like you say, the price, you bought it out all 3 kits, everyone liked them.
Yeah.
The people bought these kits, and the men only wore it like a handful, not even a handful of times. The girls wore it every away
Palace,
game.
they wore it, didn't they? Crystal Palace away.
Palace and Bournemouth. Yeah. And I think that was it, really.
Yeah,
after it was just a black kit. It was just like, okay.
But, you know, you're even saying, you know, come on, you pinks. What's going on here?
It is what it is. So even with that, you would have thought with the women's away shirt this year, they would have thought of a different colour scheme just to be different from last season's pink kit. But
well, they talk about equality, which is really important. Give them red and white and yellow and blue. Let's stick with that. It's the same badge.
They could have gone the yellow and blue route technically because
Why not?
I don't the away kit we've got the men's away kit. I don't not class that as yellow. That is luminous.
No, wait. I mean, but again, it's you know, Islington FM. We're originally from Plumstead, you know, and people have short memories. If we hadn't moved north of the river, our rivals would be Charlton. But again, people have short memories.
If we hadn't moved, that'd be Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, and Sonny were scored in the pink kit. Yep. But going back to obviously tomorrow, in terms of a just a bit of a recap on PSV, because obviously last season, obviously Nestroy was the manager. He left it back into the last season.
Yeah.
Obviously, we got him in this draw. We got him in the draw match day 1. We beat him 4-0. How are they actually doing? Because I think they played final, and then they lose against final.
No, they've won 15 out of 15.
I won 15 out of 15. Oh, okay.
Domestically, and they've got 45 points and a goal difference of plus 46. It's a much more mature PSV than what they have last year, and they're delighted to be in the last 16. But they also know that they will finish second. But they have a chance against.
They already qualified that day, no matter what happens.
Yeah, they qualified due to what happened with them winning in Seville and us battering Lens. You know, Joey Fieldman's having a good season. Luc de Jong is evergreen, and Peter Bos, who I remember seeing him manage Heracles when he got them up into the Eredivisie when they first got up, and they drew 0-0 here in Amsterdam. And I remember walking past. I walked down the seats and then to go out of the exit, and I actually walked behind him. And he was like, he had his fists in the air, and he was, you know, because for Heracles Almelo to draw in Amsterdam was a massive coup, and just goes to show. And you know, but he's a very astute manager. You know, I'm secretly hoping that after PSV he'll become a national team manager, because I think he can give the Netherlands that little bit something extra. And no, he's a very good manager, Peter Bos. And I think he, by his own admission, by his press conference today, he just wants to use the game against Arsenal, Ryan, as a marker to see how much they've improved from the last time they played us. So should be very interesting indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So both qualified. So there's nothing really to play for both teams then, really, because we qualified anyway. We won our group. They're qualified as well. So it's going to be interesting how both teams approach it in terms of teams and.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think we'll remain professional, Ryan. I mean, as I say, our recent form in Europe.
You say this, but Mikel Arteta, David Ray in the goalkeeping situation, that's.
Well, yeah, but Ramsdale didn't have the greatest game in Eindhoven last.
No, but what my point is, how we talked about Southgate before in terms of his mindset, but Mikel Arteta hasn't exactly covered himself in glory in the situation of the goalkeeping this season, in terms of dropping Ramsdale, bringing Rayo in, dropping Ramsdale when he was in. His form wasn't that bad, but now persisting no matter what with Rayo, even though he's clearly struggling with the pressure. Instead of take him out the fight for a bit, to reassess things, he keeps
Well,
pushing them under the bus, basically.
Well, I think if he doesn't pick Ramsdale tomorrow, I think it's very cruel and quite personal.
Yeah.
Last season, I was at the European games that Ramsdale played. I was at the away game in Eindhoven and the home game against Zurich, and he didn't have great games in both. But he also hasn't had the opportunity to redeem himself, and I think that's the saddest thing. Ramsdale is a massive reason as to why we are playing in this tournament. And if he doesn't play tomorrow, I would view it as becoming quite personal. But you also know what's happened. Arteta has signed Raya with the intention to buy him in the summer and then sell Ramsdale for an awful lot of money. Hence why the recent 5-year deal. And as I say, with Ramsdale, I mean, he was unlucky in Eindhoven last year and against Zurich as well. But he hasn't had the opportunity to redeem himself. And I think that's the saddest thing. As I say, he's not a poor goalkeeper, but I mean, in European competition, I mean, he will be chomping at the bit to prove in Europe that he has improved. But he hasn't had the opportunity yet. I mean, I couldn't believe that he didn't play against Lens. And if he doesn't play tomorrow, he's got every right to look for a move in January, not just because of England. I mean, England, if you're not part of the inner circle, you've got no chance anyway. But even
he's back.
Even for his own professional career in that respect.
No, exactly. And people sort of laid into his dad a couple of weeks back when he went on the hybrid squad with Sophie and Kevin Campbell, because obviously he was invited on, and it was at a time where his son's been dropped, and he wanted to get his thoughts and see and ask about Aaron, if Aaron's okay, how he's dealing with it, how he's approaching the situation. And obviously, because of the situation, the media have jumped onto it, but the fans jumped on it as well. And all the ones that are sort of Arteta can do no wrong or Raya can do no wrong are digging up, going in at Nick and calling out Aaron and all that. And it sort of seems. And then after that, it was just before we played Brentford as well, that time frame.
Yeah, and the mistake at Brentford as well, which
the throwing
he didn't know whether to kick it or to throw it because his confidence was shot.
Oh, this is what I was going to go on to say. Obviously, Brentford, as the first half, you could tell there was nerves, not just because of the situation with his dad going on a podcast and everyone making a big meal out of it. Just want to add on to that no one had a problem with Nick going on that podcast 3 other times beforehand when Aaron was number 1.
Yeah.
But suddenly, because Aaron's number 2 and his dad's been asked a question about the situation, suddenly everyone's making a big deal out of it, which has added more pressure along with everything else that's going on at the club between Aaron and the club, whatever.
Yeah.
Brentford comes on, you could tell that first half the nerves are there.
Yeah.
Before the mistakes. You made 2 mistakes, you recovered from that. Second half came out more solid, more professional.
Yeah.
And then after the game, when Arteta's asked specifically about Aaron, before in the build-up, he's asked about Kai Havertz, and he's scoring a winning goal. And Arteta comes back, he's fantastic. I'm so happy for him. Individual, happy for him. Other players, they got to Ramsdale. His face drops like thunder. He goes, just happy for the team. Yeah. It's like he's purposely now isolating him. I don't know why.
Well,
aside from potentially this podcast appearance from his dad.
Yeah, well, even in terms of the podcast appearance, Ryan, I draw on my own experience. As I was a football writer for 7 years and hung up my pen recently, and over 400 interviews with professional players and managers. I've known where players are going. Never once have I let it slip. I've known what's happening, who's going where. Never once have I let it slip. Because I've got far too much respect for the professional player and myself. But now it's as if, I know where he's going, they're doing this, they're doing that. It's hearsay. The careers are being built on hearsay and gossip. And that just goes to show there's an awful lot of sheep, isn't there? I've known at least where 5 players are going in my time. Not once has it been revealed. I even had one club tell me. I didn't even have to ask them. They told me. And I said, when they told me that, I said, well, okay, well, you have my word. They didn't even have to say to me, can you keep it quiet? because I came back to them and said, I'm a professional, it won't come from my end. I could have easily gone on Twitter at the time and say so-and-so is going here. But no, again, you're either a professional or you're not. And what you're seeing now is you see with like certain YouTubers and influencers, it's as if they speak for the club. You must be joking. And also as well, they haven't played professional games. They haven't interviewed players and managers in foreign languages. They haven't been aware of what's gone on outside of things. They couldn't translate a transcript from Dutch to English in a blink of an eye, could they? Making sure that everything's done by the book. It would have to be in English, otherwise they've got no chance. Whereas in my case, it can be in English, Dutch or Spanish, so it doesn't matter. But again, people are different. But yeah, it's just a changing face of football, I'm afraid. And I wonder about the future. You know, in 10 years' time, we'll have social media picking the starting 11. We'll have polls about should the manager stay. Be like Elon Musk polls, wouldn't it? Should he stay? Should he go? 70% say yes, so we will do what they say. And again, I mean, I've got no horse in that race, but I find it extremely peculiar how someone chooses to pay so much for literally a notice board. You choose to pay all that money for a notice board. I used to have Twitter. I closed it down, and people said, "Oh, you had 8,000 followers. Why did you close it down?" I closed it down because my daily job is working for the Amsterdam City Council as a Londoner, which is a massive privilege. But the main reason I closed it down was because I had the media employees of Charlton, Queen's Park Rangers and Millwall expecting me to do their job for them. And it was driving me round the bend.
For free.
You know, any of those three clubs could have rang me up and says, James, could you do a part-time job, maybe a hybrid of part-time at the City Council and part-time working for us? Or they could have said, James, can we tempt you back to England after almost 2 decades away by offering you a position within the media side of our football club? But they didn't. But I didn't want to be confronted with that almost every day of the week. So I just thought, you know, enough's enough. But I don't miss it. I have LinkedIn. If people want to get hold of me, they can get hold of me. And, you know, just sometimes jump on your show. And I only really do your show when asked. And can fodder about European football. And that's me now. Don't feel the need to do anything else. And also I've been on your channel for quite some time, Ryan, and also Alex's. I've also been on other channels. And as we've spoken about before, sometimes the knowledge can be so powerful that it goes over people's heads. They're made to look silly, and they don't want to look silly. So it'll be like, oh, I can't invite James back because he'll make me look silly. No, not deliberately. My knowledge is my knowledge, and my experience is my experience. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. But some of them, they'd rather protect themselves and make themselves look good rather than help, you know, educate fans and people who like football. But it's just the way it is, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and it's still a cesspit, by the way, in terms of social media and that side of things. But you don't miss much on social media, trust me.
No. I'm reading a lot. I'm reading a lot of books. As I say, Macca's autobiography was great. Currently reading Jimmy Greaves' autobiography, which makes me admire him even more, even though he's a Spurs man. But you know, what a character. And one thing I was thinking about as well, Ryan, you know, he went abroad to AC Milan in the 60s when British people didn't go abroad full stop, never mind the holidays or that kind of thing. So very courageous what he did, and you know, the greatest striker the country's ever produced. So it just goes to show, doesn't it?
It does, and obviously we've lost Terry Venables in the last few weeks as well. Obviously, he was one of the pioneers in terms of a manager going abroad, put his name out there. Barcelona did what he did at Barcelona and all that. Yeah. So Bobby obviously followed on behind him and things. So yeah, touching on managers that are going abroad, but I'll ask you again because it's sort of a recurring thing every time we come on nowadays. But Ten Hag is not getting any better from him, is it, the poor boy?
Well,
poor man.
The biggest thing, one thing I will say is wages at Ajax were 800,000 euros. That were his wages at Ajax. Anyone who goes from 800,000 euros to £11.2 million, that would send anyone doolally, wouldn't it? Even though half of it goes to the tax man. But also as well, Ryan, you know that Manchester United is built on youth. You know that that's the support pillars of Manchester United. What do you do when you get to Manchester United? The best youth prospect in James Gardner, you let him go. James Gardner's good. James Gardner's good enough to play for Man United. Why isn't he playing for United? And also as well, Ten Hag is not from Rotterdam. He's not from Eindhoven. He's not from Amsterdam, where the international community is from the East. So his linguistic ability is not spot on. And, I'm here to help him if he needs help, but I don't think he'll be asking me. I tried to do the same with Louis van Gaal as well, but I think it fell on deaf ears. But still, never mind. But I think if things don't improve for him, I think he could well be gone. But again, it's how you approach things. I mean, one final point I wanted to make before I sign off tonight, Ryan, is there's so many good managers out of work. It's not funny anymore, and it's no longer about checking if a job comes up. Oh, is that a good fit for me? What can I give that football club? Now jobs come up, and they just take them just to stay in the game, and that's also wrong. I mean, how is it that Danny Cowley hasn't got a job? How is it that Glenn Oldham hasn't got a job? How Chris Wilder's recently returned to management, but even that, to have struggled at Middlesbrough and struggled at Watford, and then to get that Premier League job. And they say never go back, but football makes its own rules. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But and also, where's the next generation of managers coming from? That's another thing. Why would you put yourself through it? I mean, people say to me about scouting and that kind of thing, because I do it as a hobby. I mean, I saw a really good player on Saturday night, Damien van Bruggen at Almere City. He's the captain. But as I say to colleagues and friends, scouting is the most poorly paid part of football. Why would I break myself to earn a pittance? When I take more pleasure out of identifying players and following their career. Like Alfonso Pedraza, I've mentioned his name on this channel many times. He's now a fully fledged Spanish international. But some are Arsenal fans and some YouTubers and influencers, oh no, I've never heard of him. Well, no, because you don't know what you're looking at. You're more concerned with the please like, subscribe, and so that I can continue to do what I do, which is it's like a form of like perpetuation for some of the bigger YouTubers. I mean, in your case, it's just a football fan and a football man talking sense about football, which is why I'm happy to come on. But you've got some YouTube channels, they've got so much weight behind them. But where did that weight come from? It come from investments, didn't it? Yeah. Investments as regards to advertising. Oh, please subscribe to this thing, or please subscribe to that thing, or we want to offer you this, or use the code my name on my channel. But again, and
you'll get 20% off of saving this and doing that.
Yeah, well,
Boohoo Man's our sponsor this week. Yeah,
but it's not real football, is it?
No.
I mean, I could write a book of all the things that I've experienced, but I don't have to because I've been there. I don't need to be told, oh, that player's really good. Is he? No. Like people talk about XG and surface level goal contributions and all that jargon. Not interested.
I go by the eye test, to be honest, what I see.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Your eyes don't lie, do you?
Hence my displeasure and my disdain at the moment with David Raya, because I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I'm not liking it, but it's continuing to be backed.
Yeah, but people were like, XG times to 1, surface level goal contributions, pre-assist jargon. But
playing out from the back and things like that, his distribution is so superior. Okay,
yeah, let me get on with it. It's as if fans are being conditioned in this day and age, Ryan. But it's been a pleasure as always, and look forward to catching up soon. Maybe have a quick chat next week regarding the Champions League draw.
Yeah, can do. When is the draw? Monday. It's Monday.
Monday, 18th of December. We're an hour ahead here, so I think it's half past. I think it's midday our time, or maybe even 12:30.
So, but
still, we'll work out. We'll work
11, half 11. Once they'll probably advertise it over here in the UK. They'll probably advertise it. So once I know.
So maybe we'll speak quickly next Monday, and I can give a reaction on it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll be going live for the draw anyway. But if you want to pop on afterwards and to give your reaction to not just our draw, but all the any other key draws that come out, so that you can sort of signify that could be a tasty one. That could be one to watch.
Yeah, no, okay, that sounds good. Maybe we can do the same time as tonight. But it's been a pleasure as always, pal. Take it easy, and I'll speak to you next Monday.
Yeah, no worries, mate. And with that, guys, we are going to wrap things up. James, what a score prediction tomorrow? Before you go,
1-1.
1-1.
1.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a draw as well. I do think because both teams are qualified. They don't really fight for.
Yeah, no, but
so
again,
sort of
winning Eindhoven will be difficult. You know, they're really good at home. So I would say 1-1.
Yeah, and I think there might be a couple, one or two swaps in our team from Saturday's game.
Yeah,
but I don't see major changes, and it's only because I think that's going to be the majority of our set of going. We weren't good enough on Saturday, so you're not getting the respite. Prove yourself tonight, and then we've got Brighton on Sunday, so which is not going to
be. Yeah, it'll be tough. Huh?
Then we've got Liverpool. Woohoo!
Yeah, well, you know, that doesn't get any easier. But as I've said, I'm happy to die on that hill with Mikel.
Yeah.
No trophy, no trophy, no job. Simple as.
Yeah, but it'll be 4 years. It will be the end of this season. It'll be 4 years come August.
So no trophy, no job. Because as a professional player once said to me, without your history, you're nothing. And we're used to having barren spells, 53 to 71, 71 to 89, 9 years under Wenger, 5 years, 4 years. We're used to barren spells, but if we want to continue to be what we are, then no trophy, no job.
Yeah, but the thing is, especially in terms of the Wenger 9-year spell as well, between obviously the 2005-2014 FA Cup. There wasn't the level of investment into the team like it has been for the 4 years under Arteta.
Exactly. So, 200 games. And then it's as if he pats himself on the back. I've got 200 games. Okay. But you're extremely, extremely lucky. You know, but still, it is what it is. But we should speak next Monday, pal. All the best.
Yeah, no worries. And we'll obviously come May, we'll see where we stand in terms of trophies. We've got to win one of them. We have to win one of the 3.
A trophy, otherwise... Mikel will need his P45.
Yes, well, yeah, especially after last season, getting so close and then not getting over the line. But yeah, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. But I'll be back tomorrow for the match day watch along. Just as James goes, thanks James for that. So yeah, I'll be back for the match day watch along. It's an early kickoff tomorrow for the Arsenal. It's a 5:45 UK time kickoff, so we'll be going live about. I think now. 5:45, 5:15, we'll go live half hour before kickoff, get all the build up all underway and all that. There'll be no Liam tomorrow. He's got other stuff. He's got other stuff tomorrow. He's gonna have to deal with. So he's gonna have the night off tomorrow, and hopefully be well enough to be back on Sunday for the Brighton game. But obviously, as I say, we've got PSV Arsenal tomorrow. Then on Wednesday we've got the North London derby in the Conti Cup. We're at home for that. Bournemouth, Arsenal versus Tottenham in the women's Conti Cup for that on Wednesday. Then the Thursday Thursday All Arsenal show with Ange hosting and myself and whoever we can find to come on for that on Thursday. Nothing planned for Friday, as far as I'm aware. Saturday, I'm trying to think now, because obviously playing on Sunday. Let's have a look at the fixtures quickly just to confirm there's no clashing on the Arsenal side of things for the girls. Because obviously the WSL next week ends, so make sure to see where we're playing. And I can tell you, oh bloody hell, here we go. Hopefully there's no clashing. So we've got obviously Wednesday and then Saturday. Yeah, Saturday, so there's no clash whatsoever. So you're North London derby on Wednesday. All Arsenal show Thursday, nothing Friday. Saturday, nice early kickoff, 12 o'clock kickoff UK time on Saturday. So about 11:30 we'll go live on Saturday. Get the build up for that. Hopefully Liam will be around to join us with that, and might get Lottie on as well if she's available, because there's an away game at their toilet bowl. And on Sunday we've obviously match of the day will make a comeback this Saturday as well. And then Sunday, Arsenal versus Brighton in the Premier League. That's a 2:00 kickoff, which will be fun. But apart from that, so it's going to be a very, very busy week for me by the looks of it. Bloody hell. Jesus Christ. Go trip on tonight. Yep, Sam just mentioned that. Yep. So Gary did mention this yesterday on Heat when he popped on for the second half. At the end of the stream, he mentioned that obviously he'll be doing his podcast tonight, 12:30 UK time. In the evening, half past midnight UK time, he'll be going live over where he is with his guests and doing a general roundup of Saturday's game against Villa, and obviously they probably will touch on tomorrow's game as well themselves. Aside from that, guys, though, I'm going to tap out. I've got other bits and pieces to do now. I'm going to get the audio up for this in about half hour's time, give or take. So if you have missed bits of this and listen to it back on the go, you can catch it on Spotify and all other audio platforms and apps in about half hour's time from now. So keep an eye out for that. Aside from that, if you haven't already, do please smash the like button, subscribe, share the link around as well in all your group chats and social media in general. And we'll see you on the other side. And as always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.